we all know how we feel about politicians. Most politicians we don't like. But that's right. But some of them we do like. Some of them have good things to say. There are some good ones. If we threw about 90% out and kept the 10%, we'd be in good shape. Here's a guy coming up that I think we could probably be safe in keeping. And I don't want anybody to be rude to our next speaker. He's our guest, and as we all know, we treat people right. So I would like you to welcome our next guest, Mark Schroeder, Assemblyman, State of New York.
I'm happy to be here, thank you. First of all, I understand where I am today. This is not a scheduling error on my part. I want to be here. My name is Mark Schroeder and I'm a politician, and I know how you feel about politicians. I also know how you feel about Jim Ostrowski and Russ Thompson, and I happen to agree with them and you on many of the issues affecting our state. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Allow me to remind you that Jim Ostrowski ran for the New York State Assembly in the 1980s, and Russ Thompson ran for the Assembly recently. The difference is that I made it, and it has been rather lonely. I am all alone. I would encourage independent-minded individuals who aren't going to join the club in Albany, like Russ and Jim and many of you, to run for the Assembly and for the Senate. And before I go any further, and before I share with you common goals that you Tea Party people and I have in common, allow me to say that I will not come here and insult your intelligence. I have been in the New York State Assembly for the last 5.5 years. I have responsibility for the mess that's going on in the Assembly, in the Senate, and in the legislature. And I can come up here and blame everybody else, but I'm not going to do it. Me and we, the New York State Legislature and all elected officials in this state, we have to do better. Last March 12th, when they escorted Elliot Spitzer out of the building, I thought that was rock bottom. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't. What's happening in Albany now is an absolute disgrace, and I am ashamed to be a part of it. I am not a career politician. I spent 25 years in the private sector in sales and marketing. In 2001, I ran for the Erie County Legislature because I had it. The business districts in my neighborhood were going to hell. And so I was going to do something about it. Seneca Street, downtown of Old South Buffalo, 54 vacant, deplorable buildings. And I and others and partners were going to do something about it. I went door to door in every single neighborhood in that district, and I said, do you think it's a good idea if we started a chamber? Everybody knows what the chamber is, and they said it'd be a good idea. I went to Dr. Rudnick of the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership. He didn't think it was a good idea, so we started our own South Buffalo Chamber of Commerce that serves 7 old neighborhoods in this city. The Buffalo-Niagara Partnership couldn't find my old neighborhoods if they had a taxi service. And I agree with Carl Palladino. It's time to start looking at the Buffalo-Niagara Partnership. What does that name mean? It should be called the Buffalo Chamber of Commerce. And are the Tea Party people, do you agree with me? If you do, let's start changing things around here. In 2002, there are 66,000 people, workforce age, in Erie County who do not have a high school degree or a GED. We did something about it. We started the South Buffalo Education Center. We have the highest retention rate, highest graduation rate in the state of New York. There's a woman by the name of Stacy Watson. I give her all the credit. In the big 5 districts through New York State, the graduation rate for high schools are less than 50%. It's an absolute disgrace. We need to do something about it. We're doing it. If you'd like to join us to promote literacy and those who need a second chance, you call me, you help us at the South Buffalo Education Center. We are helping young people across the city and this county. In 2004, I ran for the New York State Assembly, and I went door to door in 142 election districts. And I remember this period of time. This is when the New York State budget was late 21 years in a row. And my constituents were saying to me, why do we need you, Schroeder? What are you going to do? Join the club? Well, I didn't join the club. I went to the speaker and I said to the speaker, if you do not give me a guarantee that we will have an on-time budget, I will not vote for you for speaker. I did not vote for him for speaker because I didn't get the guarantee. And when I went in there man to man to tell him I wasn't going to vote for him, he said, Schroeder, it looks like you've made a business decision. And I said, you bet your life I have. It's not personal. I'm not against anybody here, but we're going to get things done because the people who voted for me, they expect me to get something done. In 2006, when I ran for re-election, and when the governor ran, it had the largest plurality in this state ever. So I sent a letter to all my Democratic colleagues in the New York State Assembly saying, don't you think we ought to think about maybe having another speaker? Well, let me tell you something. The response I got was not overwhelming. They were insulted that I would even think such a thing. This is the mentality, and this is what's happening. Right now, the speaker, any speaker, or the majority leader in the Senate, the speaker gets 13,000 votes in his little district in Manhattan. Senator Bruno, when he was majority leader, he got 75,000 votes. They have equal power to a governor who gets 4 million votes. Why is that? Well, let me tell you why. From 1800 to 1899, in the